Introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner, wearing the camouflage trunks. He weighed in 162 pounds. His professional record, 8 wins, 3 losses, with 3 wins by way of knockout. He comes from Jacksonville, Florida. Here is Marcus Aurelius Upshaw. His opponent fighting out of the red corner, wearing the blue trunks with the white trim. He weighed in 162.5 pounds. His professional record, 19 wins, only 1 loss, with 9 wins by way of knockout. Originally from Brentwood, New York, now fighting out of Vero Beach, Florida, here is James McGirt Jr.
Okay, guys, we went over the rule in the locker room. I want to remind you, I want a clean fight. Protect yourself at all times. These trunks are a little high here. All right? Good luck to both of you. Touch them up. Back up. Good luck.
Man, love the stare down. That goes to Upshaw, perhaps. Tail of tape, Steve.
Now, McGirt, tall for this weight at 6'1". He told me only once before in his career has he fought a fighter taller than himself.
And that would be the 6'3" Marcus Upshaw. Attitude in the stare down, but they haven't thrown a shot yet. McGirt, we saw him a year ago on Broadway Boxing, sailing on to another victory, still unbeaten. And then the world changed for him against Carlos De Leon. Learning experience, though.
And he came back. He learned something because he came back with the biggest win of his career against Ray Joval, which made him a rated middleweight.
Upshaw told us yesterday, Steve, he's going to be very cautious, see how McGirt moves. And really not, obviously you want to win rounds early, but he's banking on McGirt having to sweat off that weight and get down to 160 and paying a price that his legs won't be there.
Well, you can already see why Upshaw could be a difficult fight for McGirt, because Upshaw is a very tall, rangy guy who is probably going to try to get McGirt to come to him. And James McGirt is more boxer than puncher.
Well, Upshaw doing a good job flicking the jab against the southpaw. He's got his hand really low. McGirt's just trying to dial in, trying to figure out how Upshaw moves. And McGirt taking his time offensively. He has yet to get it into gear.
Upshaw, in 11 fights, he's fought 4 southpaws, so the left-handed style of McGirt shouldn't be that much of a problem.
McGirt allowing Upshaw to be first. Upshaw showing a lot of head movement, fake, nothing coming behind it. He was short with that right hand. McGirt sinks in a little left. McGirt very much under control, economical, just trying to figure out the moves of Marcus Upshaw. Upshaw very flat-footed now, the taller man giving it up.
And Nick, one thing I've always liked about James McGirt, he's a lefty who's a natural right-hander. He has a nice right hook. And against a fighter like Upshaw, who keeps his left hand down by his shoelaces, McGirt very well could land that punch.
Yeah, that'd be a good way to go, Steve. Nice left hand again from McGirt. And on a counter there, he clocks. Upshaw drops him with that left hand, so when you keep punching, good things happen. He caught him on that third shot. That will alter things, I would think, here at the end of the first round. Upshaw better pay attention, Steve, on the exchanges. He got careless, and now it's McGirt trying to run him down, but certainly not getting ahead of himself. If the openings are there, he's taking it. If not, he's content to read and react. But he caught him on that third shot. Almost on a way out with that left hand. Upshaw with a real rookie mistake there, squaring up and not throwing anything. So at 10-8, first round for James McGirt Jr. To the second round, our main event, James McGirt Jr., Marcus Upshaw, joined by McGirt Jr.'s promoter, the irrepressible Lou DiBella, never shy, no shrinking violet. Lou, James McGirt at middleweight, the place to be, isn't it?
No, look, his body is really made to be a middleweight, and he proved it against Joval, a perennial contender. He got out there, he looked really very, very much the part of a top 10 middleweight. I think he learned a lot from the De Leon fight. I think you're seeing a little bit right here because, you know, he knocked the guy down and he's staying within himself. He's keeping the pace the way he had it, keeping control of the fight. You know, De Leon, he had De Leon on Queer Street. He had De Leon, you know, nearly knocked out. He'd won every round, and then he just walked into one being sloppy. And I don't see him being sloppy right here. You know, it's a little bit of a nerve-wracking fight here because there's potentially a big fight ahead for McGirt, possibly with Peter Kid Chocolate Quillen. This guy's sort of a guy in the, you know, in between, but this guy has nothing to lose, and I get nervous with this kind of fight.
I know you do.
What promoter isn't nervous when one of his guys is fighting? That comes with the turf, right?
It does come with the turf.
Sure. But Peter Quillen and James, that is a great matchup.
It's a great matchup between two prospects. You know, one who fights out of New York, one who was born in New York, and you know, because of the McGirt name in New York, you know,
it's a New York fight, Louis.
It's a great New York fight, and I hope it comes off. I hope that this hurdle gets jumped by James.
Steve, how can Upshaw present a few problems here? He's not a threat at all now.
No, he's not, and I really feel that knockdown changed everything about his psychological approach to this fight. He got countered, and he went down, and now he's not jabbing with conviction. His feet are closer together than they were. He's not throwing any right hands.
Real economy of motion from McGirt, though, huh?
Yeah, I mean, Upshaw's bouncing and everything, but he's really not much of an offensive threat at this point. So McGirt's got to get a little closer and maybe bang the body a little bit if he has the opportunity.
I think at this point, Upshaw is very much safety first. You know, he really wants to hang around for a few rounds as opposed. Well, there we go. We get.
No doubt. You know, Lou, he felt that if he could take McGirt late, McGirt's legs might betray him because he thought McGirt had trouble making weight. True or false?
I don't think so. I think he was pretty much fine here. I mean, I think he always has to shed a couple of pounds, but he's got a good strength and conditioning coach now, and he's. No, I don't think that was a problem at all. He's been in camp with his dad. His dad's been out there with Paulie Malignaggi preparing him for the Ricky Hatton fight. No, I think he's in good shape now. I think he's fine. I think you're seeing it. He's keeping a very steady pace and looks good out there right now.
Well, James said he learned from the loss. One of the things he learned is he's got to stay in great shape in between fights because he goes up to 190. And that's a lot for a middleweight to shed 30 pounds. So if he doesn't go that high, training camp will be about technique and strategy, not so much about conditioning, which is good.
Round 3, James McGirt Jr., our main event attraction. Marcus Upshaw has been down, dropped in the first. Let's see if he can put any kind of threatening attack together. Neither guy with a shoot the lights out style, that's apparent, so McGirt has looked certainly the better technician to generate his offense. Not necessarily needing to be first with his jab.
A lot of clowning here from a guy that's not winning.
And usually the fans turn on a guy like that.
Lou, again, adversity in a fighter could teach a couple things. You know, you could make excuses or you could change your ways. What specifically did you see in terms of change from McGirt after the loss to De Leon?
You know, I think he took a look at himself as a fighter, and he's a guy with a 50% knockout ratio, not a knockout puncher. And when you get a guy hurt, you have to be patient. You have to stay in your game, and you have to make sure if the knockout's there, take it, but don't leave yourself open. Any guy across from you, particularly a puncher, is dangerous. De Leon, fairly solid guy, even though he was losing that fight decisively with James. James had him badly hurt. De Leon recovered quicker than James thought. James bum rushed him, got knocked cold, basically. Big lesson, and I think he's taken it well, and he's looking really good against pretty good opposition since. You know, I'm very impressed with what he's doing right now because it doesn't seem – look, Upshaw doesn't feel he's over his head, and Upshaw's trying to upset the apple cart on a kid now in the top 10 with something ahead of him.
But Lou, you must have sensed right away that James was going to learn from that loss because you didn't put him in any comeback fights. He went right to Joval, who was a rated fighter in the alphabets, and with nothing in between. So you must have been pretty confident because that was obviously a key fight. If he loses that's 2 losses in a row, and then where is he? Well,
you know, his dad and his trainer, Buddy, and I huddled. We huddled with his manager, a guy named Dennis Witherow, and we said, James knows how to fight. There's not an issue with that. James was a great amateur. He's been in the ring his whole life. His dad is Buddy McGirt. You know, there's nothing to be gained by just keeping him, busy. Just try. You know, he's got to learn. He's got to grow. And you know, Joval was an excellent fighter, maybe a little long in the tooth. The guy heading toward the end of his career. We jumped on the opportunity.
McGirt's got to let his hands go a little bit more, perhaps. Gets poked with a jab, one of the few that Upshaw has been able to land and really been able to throw.
Upshaw wastes a lot of energy bouncing around. And that right hand of his, about 9 times out of 10, he throws it. He reaches back so far, it's like you can have breakfast and lunch and take a nap before it lands.
Combination from McGirt before the bell, closing out the third. We head to the fourth. Nick Charles, Steve Farhood, Lou DiBella, James McGirt's promoter. You relaxing a little, Lou?
Yeah, I'm relaxing a little bit, but James's work rate's down a little bit the last round, and I want to see what I think this is an important round. You know, Upshaw's whole strategy was get McGirt into the later rounds, and I'd prefer if James got him out of there quickly.
There could be some loose tape. They'll make an adjustment. Time called here in the fourth.
Lou, I think one of the reasons McGirt's work rate is down is this fight is being fought exclusively on the outside, and Upshaw is not very anxious to trade shots.
No, he's not anxious to trade, but he does throw out a couple of wild ones now and then. So, James has to be careful, but I think he's just got to keep asserting himself, throw the jab, and follow it. You know, he followed the jab with a beautiful right hand in that first round, got him down. I think that's the recipe to get this guy out of there if he can do it again. I mean, you can't hang that arm much lower than Upshaw does.
Upshaw sinks a right to the body of McGirt. McGirt gets driven back. Not a lot on the shots, but nothing coming back from McGirt for now. McGirt in blue comes forward. Will he work off the jab? He did there. Strikes to the chest with a left hand. There's that hook. He doubled the hook following the left. So a few hooks from McGirt now. Not staying on the jab to open up the lanes for his power shots. Upshaw, low left hand, it's been there. And McGirt closing distance, but not quick enough to land. Look at that, he's nowhere in position to punch or land with that left hand is Upshaw.
He's been very tentative since that knockdown. You know, when a fighter suffers a knockdown in the first round, you don't know how he's going to react. Everybody's different. Lou had a fighter, Christian Miharis. We all were convinced he was going to beat Vic Darchinyan. He got dropped in the first round. Yep. He decided to play macho the rest of the fight, which was not his style, against one of the strongest punchers in the lighter weights, and he got stopped. So this guy's had the opposite effect. He's fighting less after the first round knockdown.
Now, the knockdown, clearly, you made that example at Miharis fight. You know, I still believe, and I probably always will, that Miharis is a more sound technical fighter than Darchinyan.
Much more complete.
You know, much more complete fighter. But you know what? Vic is very strong. You know, he hit him, he hurt him, and he got him out of his game. And once they were playing Darchinyan's game, you saw what happened.
Right.
It's a heck of a division. You know, Upshaw getting a little confidence. He's landed some shots here. Not a lot on him, but
well, he's also not getting hit anywhere near as much, and I think that's starting to change the pace here just a little bit. I think James is still winning the round, but you're seeing a much more competitive round.
Back with more from the Hard Rock.
chase this guy down a little bit that he can't run all night. Go to the body, start to take it out of him. But basically, Lou, to get more aggressive.
Uh-oh.
And instead, it's Upshaw doing exactly that, Steve.
Well, McGirt got caught at the very end of those two punches.
And he's looking gassed right now, and he's not popping the jab, which he has to do.
Upshaw's getting a head of confidence now. McGirt tries the jab to set up the left. There's the combination. Upshaw content to stand in front and try to exchange. McGirt blocks those shots on the arms. But, you know, here's a free opportunity for anybody who wants to be first. McGirt tries that left instead. Now McGirt wraps the right to the body.
Lou, an interesting thing. You're in an interesting position because you promote James McGirt, son of Buddy McGirt, two-division world champ, and you promote Ronald Hearns, son of the legend Tommy Hearns. How would you say the two fighters have handled being sons of legends differently?
Well, first of all, start with the fact that James is trained by his father.
Big difference, right?
Ronald and his father have a much closer relationship now than they pretty much ever had in their lives. Their relationship has gotten closer, but Ronald was not raised by Tommy, and very self-made guy. They're both smart kids, both college educated. They have actually a lot of similarities. I think they both had fathers that did care about them, were active in them. Ronald was a basketball player. All buddy.
So was James,
and
right?
James played hoops
Right.
also, actually, yeah. I mean, when you contrast them, you actually start comparing a lot because they got a lot of similarities.
Back on this fight, it's second half of the fight. And I think McGirt's got to fight with some fire here.
Well, I got to tell you, he's got to pick it up some because he didn't win. He's not winning this round. I don't know how much time is left right now, but to this point in time, this is not his round. Probably the first round in the fight, I'll score for Marcus.
Well, we had the knockdown.
Right.
Yeah, I have to agree because the dominant 2 punches in this fight were those early 2 shots where McGirt got caught at the end of those punches.
Uppercut from Upshaw. He's in the black. McGirt in front of him now gets hit with a right
Good
hand.
shot. He got hit by a good shot.
And he dipped. McGirt dipped there. He was hurt.
So he leaned into a shot perhaps, but Upshaw catches him on a second and third try
He should be
again.
holding if he has to hold here and getting through the round.
And McGirt's body language, his demeanor, he went back to his corner last round with the same face he just made after getting hit, disappointed in himself.
That was a big round for Marcus Upshaw. Heading to the 6th, they want, Buddy McGirt wants his son go to the body, go inside, land that uppercut, and then come back here. They want him to get a lot busier inside. That Upshaw's giving him opportunities. You see it that way, Steve?
I agree 100% with what you said last round, Nick. James McGirt has to show some fire here. Let's put this in perspective. He's fighting Marcus Upshaw, who's lost 3 of his last 4, one by stoppage, and none of them against world-class opposition. So there's really no excuse here.
Yeah, and Upshaw just seems to get more confidence. That was a big round for him. McGirt in blue. Trying to line up Upshaw, but not punching his way in. Upshaw's in the black, coming off a big 5th round. Definitely a confidence builder. He's been on the floor early in this fight.
But you have seen a very different fight the first 3 rounds for the 4th on. I mean, it's a much different fight.
McGirt got hammered by a combination. And this is exactly what we alluded to earlier. This is what Upshaw wanted. He wanted to drag him late into the fight, hoping that that McGirt's legs would start to betray him, that fatigue possibly would set in. And McGirt now is not the busier fighter here.
No, and a point to make as Upshaw has a very good first half of the 6th round. That extra point James got in the first round could very well come into play.
Could be the deal breaker, huh?
See, James has to be working on the inside. The
Inside,
inside should be where he wants to be
That's what Buddy wants him.
against a fighter with these long arms.
Get inside. I got to take this thing off now.
Bye, Lou.
Lou's getting emotional.
I'm going to go watch the fight, guys.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
thank you, Lou.
Lou figured he won his Emmy. He'll move on. It's like James McGirt cut over the left eye, Nick.
Yeah. He's not looking good.
His left eye swollen as well.
Yeah, the right eye to the outside of the right eye, a little bit of swelling too.
Yeah. And Lou is right behind McGirt's corner, and he will be cheerleader the rest of the fight, and he will be hoarse by the end of this fight, I promise you.
Yeah.
Very
Boy.
little on McGirt's shots.
Nothing
Nick, no?
on his shots,
Yeah.
yeah.
You
And
notice
Upshaw,
that?
not a big puncher at all, but he's able to match him. And down the stretch, it's all Marcus Upshaw.
This is becoming a gut check.
He told us, he said, this guy's in for a surprise. I know he's looking past me. And Steve, I don't understand it. I don't understand not being in that kind of shape. You learn from a loss, to not just show up anymore. And that's what McGirt told us yesterday. I can't just show up and be Buddy McGirt's son. I got to put the work in. We'll see if he bites down. Steve, you gave him that round.
Yeah, McGirt got cut in that round, and Upshaw started the round well. McGirt landed the last 2 punches of the round, but not enough to win the round.
How do you have it?
58-56.
The knockdown
for
being the
McGirt.
difference, huh?
Yeah, the knockdown gave McGirt 1 extra point. I still have him up 58-56. So even if Upshaw wins the last 2 rounds, it would be a draw in my card, but that's very unofficial, of course.
Well, there's no doubt the guy in blue, McGirt's got to pick it up. We talked about learning from a loss and not making excuses and changing your ways and habits. 60 definitely is his weight. At 68, he doesn't have the kind of threatening power to me. He's a decent enough boxer. But now it's time to really get going. But it's Upshaw, the guy who's more aggressive here. Good left hand from Upshaw. Another left hand lands, and McGirt doing a lot of covering up. I don't know how stunned he was, but now he's holding on.
And Nick, which fighter is showing the fire?
Man, no doubt. It's Marcus Upshaw in black. Mad about being considered the opponent and showing it here down the stretch in our main event.
After Marcus Upshaw got dropped on the seat of his pants in round 1, somewhere in the middle of this fight, he became the harder puncher.
McGirt probing. He's missed with that jab. It's infrequent. He's hesitant, looking like he's waiting to counter Upshaw, Steve. Oh, they're all playing a waiting game now in there.
At this point, I just don't see very much on McGirt's punches, especially the right hand. The hook, the jab and the hook.
Upshaw had that flurry earlier in the 7th here. It's been a big difference, but now it looks like he's trying to coast in and win this round that way instead of staying busier.
This is a very disappointing performance, Nick, because after that KO loss to De Leon, in which McGirt was on the verge of scoring a knockout himself, he came back so well against Raymond Joval. And you thought, okay, he really learned from that loss. Well, I'm not so sure what he learned watching this fight.
1 round to go. A big round for Marcus Upshaw to end the 7th. The back half of this fight, the way we're looking at it, as McGirt has stopped. He was very cautious early, too economical it would seem. And now he's got to get busier and more effective. But Upshaw content to swap shots with him.
Upshaw never passed 6 rounds before. McGirt's been 10.
Wow, it's amazing. I mean, the way McGirt's fighting now, he was fading there for a while. It would favor Upshaw. But
ironic, huh?
Yeah. Could very well determine if McGirt gets out with a win this final round. He's been busier now, not real sharp with his punches, but perhaps winning the first half of this final round on aggression.
Yeah, exactly. At this point, busy is good. If one guy's punching and not landing, and the other guy's not punching at all, well, the judges are going to go for the guy who's punching and not landing.
It's our main event here in Hollywood, Florida. James McGirt Jr. in blue. More than he figured he'd have in front of him, and Marcus Upshaw. Flurry for McGirt, a lot of those punches blocked. Flurry back as they exchange flurries.
Certainly more energy from McGirt. And unless he gets caught with something, it's probably going to be enough to win the round.
I agree.
So far, anyway. Still a while to go.
And win the fight.
This is going to be, no matter what happens, this is going to be much closer than we would have anticipated. No doubt about that.
Oh, boy, I'm with you.
Whoa, I saw McGirt's legs dip from that left hook.
So Now it's Upshaw in deep stretch. Looking like the more dangerous fighter. But maybe tired. He should be punching and not resting. Ah, nice left hand from McGirt. That was big. Upshaw tries to run him down. McGirt with a little flurry to the body. Right hand from Upshaw as McGirt ran right into it and gets muscled back. Covering up now. McGirt could be hurt, Steve.
What a turnaround. It was all McGirt before that. Tough round to score, Nick, because McGirt controlled the first 2 minutes, 30 seconds.
The bigger punching from Upshaw, and once again before the bell with a right hand. Steve, we got what we hoped for, and certainly Upshaw got what he hoped for. He's getting 10 rounds. We had bad information on that. To modify it, this has now been changed back, or officially is a 10-round fight, not 8.
Yeah, the promoter, Lou DiBella, was under the impression it was 8. Yeah, what does he know? He's just the promoter.
Well, lucky he's not.
I'd yell at him, but he's too far away. The question now, Nick, with 2 more rounds to go, whose advantage is that for?
Well, you know, it seemed like Upshaw was tired at times down the stretch. As you said, not having gone past 6. McGirt's been 10 several times. We've done his fights at 10 rounds. But he's in a fight of his recent life anyway. It's been a tough year for James McGirt, but maybe he's made it tough on himself. Of course, you know, dropping DeLeon very early in that loss, who knows if he would have dropped him late if DeLeon would have gotten out of that and recovered in time.
Nice left hand by McGirt.
Yes, very big. McGirt needs this round, Steve. It's clear. Another left hand. Could Upshaw be slowing down? He's bouncing a lot. He's not throwing a lot of shots. He's in the same mode. That left hand is down. McGirt, though, looking to land that left of his.
And again, Upshaw never passed 6 rounds before. McGirt went 10 for the first time his last fight. Still, Nick, McGirt just not busy enough. I mean, he's going to win this round.
Absolutely.
Of course, we said that last round, and the last 10 seconds saw a big turnaround, but James just isn't busy enough, and Upshaw's not throwing it off.
No. This round, Upshaw's taken off at a critical juncture. You know, he's dragged himself into the fight, got a boatload of confidence, and now he's falling back.
Magoo, stop waiting on this boy.
Some of the big name fighters behind us screaming for both guys here. Nate Campbell is here, and Alan Green, John David Jackson, the trainer and former world champ, all yelling.
McGirt is posing instead of punching. Left hand from him now. He slips out of danger, and Upshaw's talking to him, mocking him now. Upshaw with a nice right hand.
It's easy to tell when Upshaw gets hit, Nick, because he starts talking and clowning every time he gets hit.
Well, he retaliated nicely with that right. McGirt, though, with a left that lands. Upshaw sort of talking, shaking his way, shaking way inside. Didn't do enough in this critical 9th round that looked like James McGirt's. 1 round to go here in our main event. In what's turned into a close fight. It's certainly been competitive. And remember, McGirt had Upshaw down very early.
And to reiterate what Lou DiBella said earlier in the fight, James McGirt's next time out, should he win this fight, would be against Peter Quillen, an undefeated big puncher from New York, in a major, major crossroads fight. A lot at stake here for James McGirt.
No doubt. McGirt coming on. He's got to throw that left hand more. He's really abandoned his jab against Upshaw. Upshaw with that left hand low. It's been the story all night. But McGirt electing or unable to get that jab in to set up his power shots. It's amazing. Upshaw in 11 fights, just 3 KOs. Obviously not power. But, you know, he looks as strong as McGirt for the most part in many of these rounds.
Yeah, about halfway through the fight, he became the puncher. Long-arm guys, Nick, I'll tell you, 4 out of 5 punches, they look awkward. They don't punch at the right distance. But if they do get that perfect leverage and perfect distance on their punches, they can do a lot of damage because they have added leverage.
Yeah. McGirt having a better round than Upshaw, we'll say that. Nobody that crisp or clear, but McGirt won that 9th round inarguably, or arguably, I should say, which probably has him ahead. But we're guessing now, and with a couple of minutes, less than halfway through this final round, he's got to close it with conviction.
Without knowing how the judges scored the 9th or will score the 10th, I think it's safe to say that the fact that this was a 10-rounder and not an 8 was in favor of McGirt. And not just because he had been the distance, but it's obviously mattered because he's been slightly busier, landed a few more shots, and I think he's won the 9th and the 10th. Whoa!
Oh, that staggered McGirt, the left hand. Will he get out of this fight? He's in trouble, and he's down. How much time is left will be critical. Oh, McGirt was hurt by a left. Does he have his legs back? 35 seconds to go in this fight.
Wow.
Well, look who's going southpaw. Upshaw should go for it, Steve. No?
Of course. He's got the round 10-8, but he doesn't have the fight necessarily
What
yet.
is he doing? He's going with that long left hand. He's trying to line it up off a right jab. 10 seconds to go. Both men have been down. Upshaw has been the better fighter the last half of this fight. Was it enough to pull him even or maybe win it?
After 10 rounds of action, we go to the scorecards. Judge Michael Pernick scores the bout 95-93 Upshaw. Judges Rocky Young and Bill Ray both score the bout 94-94. We have a majority draw.